Rightio, we are back for the third time. Is the charm from Racecraft Simulations.
Hey Cameron, I can see you now.
The second round of the SRT Trackmasters Academy GT3 Championship here for 2000.
I still can't see you though.
Season number 3.
Fair enough.
Just excuse me while
John Cena.
Try and share our live
I was going to say that.
Racecraft Simulations Facebook page. Trying to use the correct keyboard to do so as well. Too many computers at Johnny's desks here. Okay, so live stream is shared. Servers are up. Hopefully we get more than about 30 seconds before we get anything out of them. It is time. Welcome along to Weathertech Raceway Laguna Seca. My name is Chris Mitchell. I'll be your host for tonight here for the SRT Trackmasters Academy GT3.
This wheel just cut out like for a second there, John.
Season 3, 2021.
What did it do?
I've only set a real short, sharp 5-minute qualifier for everybody to get out on track and try and get a hot lap underneath their belt.
It did that cutout thing.
For that 30-minute race.
Fuck.
This will be a red hot one.
So did mine.
Here. Just going to jump out of our Discord for a second so we don't have that interrupt our stream. Don't want any of that business hanging on our stream. As we get underway, I'll jump across to the right screen as well. So sorry for the shambles, folks. Now trying to get underway with streaming tonight. We're going to follow along with Andrew Lachlan to start things off. Climbing the hill on the Rahal Straight in the Blow Racing Porsche 911 GT3R. Just ahead of Connor Warren on track at the moment. Making their way around to set their first flying laps on the board. It's a real short qualifying session, so you can't afford to make a mistake here and upset your qualifying run as one of the McLarens goes well deep. Oh, takes them both out, and Lockie won't be happy with that one. Julesy in the pit lane, he's going to have to come back out and be real pressed to get around and set a lap here because there's only 2 minutes left to go. The times are going to come through quick and fast here as they're all starting to set them. Joe Capone going to the top of 120.6. GK Sydney second with a 121.4. Young Jet into third with a 121.46. And Nick Cochran 122. Now Clint Harvey goes into second with a 121.4. George going into second now with a 120.7. They've still got time to set one more lap, and if someone starts their flying lap right now, they might get across for 2 laps even. And this is going to come through thick and fast. Don't even know where to point the camera at this point of the run. I reckon I'm going to grab a hold of Julesy because he's going to be one to watch here. And it won't let me grab a hold of the Julesy. Bloody automobilista. Loves playing games with us. We'll follow along with Cameron Edwards as he's currently parked in 8th with a 122.7. No time to get out there and get tyres up to temperature and mess about trying to find the optimum line. You've got to deal with the track position you have and get yourself a solid run in a very short qualifier. And dropping a wheel off the road on the Rahal Straight and cleaned up by one of our Mercedes drivers. And there's a couple of choice words being said on the Discord chat there, so that's going to hurt Cameron Edwards. He's going to go to the back now. And this is going to be painful for some of these guys. Joe Capone on top as he makes his way into the Andretti hairpin. He gets another crack at a lap here, does Joe. He's already on top with a 120.6. Can he hang out there with 10 seconds to go left in this qualifying session? Short, sharp, and to the point. Now Grant Johnson goes through to the top. A 120.4 from Grant. He will still get another lap to set as well. As we round out qualifying, time has expired. Anybody who hasn't started a flying lap yet won't get the opportunity and will have to settle for wherever they are in the qualifying order. This will be very interesting here as they all cross the line. It'll wrap up their session. Can anybody go faster than Grant Johnson on a 120.4 to start off their half-an-hour race here at Weathertech Raceway Laguna Seca? Good thing it's a fun track to pass on and an interesting track to race on. Cade Bell looks like he's one of the big losers out of this one. Didn't get himself a time. He's down in 19th and won't get to have a run here. Young Jet in P5. And I believe Cade Bell is actually having a complete rig malfunction because his rig is going absolutely berserker. Johnson on a 119.8. Julesy actually on a 119.8, I should say. Anthony Jewell goes faster. And Julesy sets the quickest lap of the session at the very death knock of qualifying, and that is a wrap. Look at that, Anthony Jewell on top right at the end of qualifying, a 119.8 over Grant Johnson into second. Joe Capone third, George W in fourth from Andy Stott in P5. Clint Harvey in sixth from Jet Boshkovic in the 7. Nick Cochran in P8, Josh Cochran P9, Dave Flett rounding out your 10 from Mr. Magoo. One to watch here will be Cameron Edwards in P12 over Aaron Dooley, Barry Punter, John Lee, Lockie, then Gavin and Connor Warren. Neither of those guys managing to set themselves a lap. And that is a wrap on a very short, sharp qualifying here at Racecraft Simulations for the SRT Trackmasters Academy GT3 Championship round number 2. As we are going to get set to go in, just allow me one moment to yell at drivers. All right, quick turnaround, a bash that continue button, and we're going to put cars on the grid. A rousing speech from John Lee to let everyone know what the expected decorum is for tonight's half-an-hour race as the grid is set. And we are about to go racing from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California. Anthony Jewell and Grant Johnson will lead the field away on the front row of the grid here from Joe Capone and George on the second row. Andy Stott and Clint Harvey on row 3 from Jet and Nick on row 4 as we get a green light. Julesy getting away better than the rest of them. He'll jump to the front of the pack as he leads Grant Johnson in second. Two McLarens going side by side further behind as we head down into the Andretti hairpin for the first time. And someone sideways across the curbing catches up the field, and Nick Cochran making up a couple of spots here. One of the Porsches going backwards on the exit in the background there. That's a big shame, as it's a plethora of McLarens split by the lone Porsche here, Joe Capone in third, as they come out of turn 4, wrapping around and diving onto the brakes in turn 5. On the opening lap of racing, it's a half-an-hour race here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. It goes so quickly, though. It's amazing how quickly this race will pass. As, oh no, one of them McLarens sideways. Grant Johnson somehow gathers it up, and we'll have to fall back through the pack as they climb the hill on the Rahal straight. Johnson down in P5, scrambling as they make their way through the cork-through. It's Clint Harvey now pushing up into that second spot, getting one up over Joe Capone in the Porsche. Meanwhile, Julesy leading the way as Johnson sideways again at the rainy curve, having to rejoin through the pack. Pick up with Clint Harvey as the first man in line to try and chase down Anthony Julesy Jewell out front. We'll see if he has what it takes to chase down your race leader and put on a fight here. This is round 2 of the GT3 Championship for the SRT Trackmasters Academy here at at Racecraft Simulations. We've got drivers joining from in-house here at Racecraft all the way to V-Race Simulations on Scarborough Beach Road in Osborne Park, and drivers joining in from home, of course, for GT3s this week. It's Daytona Prototypes next week for the Cadillac version of the Dallara P217 prototype car. Should be a great race. I believe I missed the race a couple of weeks ago for the Daytona Prototypes, but I think they raced under lights at Daytona, and that was fantastic on the road course. As we follow along, Clint Harvey at the moment in the 720S, hard on the brakes into the corkscrew and trying to put the pressure on and see if he can close up 1.8 seconds of deficit to Anthony Jewell. But I'd say at this point in time, unless Julesy makes a mistake, this might be run and done here. Julesy proving once again he is the ultimate quick driver in this Automobilista 2 platform for Racecraft Simulations. Behind him, Joe Capone in third, from George in 4. Nick Cochran up to P5 over Grant Johnson down in 6. Now coming under pressure. So follow along with Johnson. And Jet putting a move on him now. Hard on the brakes. Young Jet getting quicker and quicker throughout the days. Jet now into P6 as he gets the move done at the Andretti hairpin. And tucks it back across to the side of the racetrack into turn 3. Johnson having to fight it out. Johnson looks to the inside. Has a little peek up the inside. Forces Jet to drop a wheel, but they'll stay where they were behind them. Wait, hang on a second. John freaking Lee. Oh, there goes John Lee. Oh, Johnny. Oh, Johnny. As Aaron Dooley goes past, Cameron Edwards goes past. He's got a rear bumper full of Aaron Dooley. John Lee, unfortunately, taking out Grant Johnson in the process there. But they're both down the order. Now Edwards from the back of the pack got caught up in qualifying with very little opportunity to set himself a quick lap. Finds himself having to fight his way through the field. Now Edwards getting one up over Dooley and moving into the 7th spot. He's got about 3 seconds to make up to the back of young Jet, who's also racing in-house at V-Race Simulations over there in Osborne Park. So it'll be interesting to see if Cameron can close that gap. He would be a contender typically to run inside the top few cars out on track. With some work to do here for Cam. We'll see whether he can close that gap in the coming laps. We'll have a little bit of a play with Nick Cochran here. Nick making his way around the circuit at the moment. Just bringing it down into turn 5. Yes, turn 5 before he fires it across the apex of turn 6 and climbs the Rahal straight on the way to the corkscrew. Just minimising the amount of runoff he has to use out there. He's on his way. Currently P5, a couple of seconds up the road from young Jet. A couple of seconds again up the road from Cameron Edwards. Nick unable to manage the same pace as George at the moment in P4, but having a great race here is Nick. It's Anthony Jewell now 4 seconds clear out front over this man. Sorry, we'll grab Julesy. There we go. There's Julesy. In your race lead, 3.5 seconds clear of Clint Harvey back there in second. Another 1.5 seconds clear of Joe Capone. One of the few Porsches in the field tonight. Joe holding down that 3rd spot after a stellar performance in qualifying, putting down a decent run and getting himself in prime position just to pick up the spots and race his way around here. This Porsche GT3 is the best sounding car on the track here. We might jump on board for the lap with Joe Capone here in the Porsche GT3. it sounds like Joe smashing the limiter out of this Porsche as he tries to keep up the pace and stay in touch with Clint Harvey. He can see the McLaren of Harvey up the road there and trying to stay with him at the moment. Great sounding car, that Porsche though. Harvey, a couple of seconds up the road now, 4.5 seconds off the back of Anthony Jewell out front. As Nick Cochran has found himself capitalising on the mistakes of George. Cochran moving into P4 now. George dropping down to P5 and putting pressure on the pair of these McLaren 720S's GT3 cars. Cochran going to come under a lot of pressure here. This is a great fight for third as George looks to the inside at turn 6. Not a place you want to be stuffing a car up the inside. Certainly not a place you want to go side by side. Tuck back in behind here is mighty close up under brakes at the corkscrew. They're coming up onto the back of some traffic. Cochran got a little bit out of shape down the hill at the corkscrew, and George is going to go sailing on by. Cochran switches him back, and George turns it around. Unfortunate stuff there for George. He's going to go back through the order. That will elevate young Jet now into the 5 spot, and Cameron Edwards just chipping away, making his way up into P6 and right onto the back of young Jet, who's pulling relatively tight on the main straightaway and letting Cameron go. So there you go. That's how it's going to pan out there for the V-Race boys. Jet jumping on out of the way for Cam. Letting him go on through. There's a call out from Nick Cochran just saying thank you to Dave Flett. Not sure whether it was sarcastic or not, but Cochran after that crash now a long way down the order. Sorry, Cochran still in 4th, I should say. It was George who had the incident. So Cochran just thanking Dave for moving aside because Dave Flett is down in 19th place and now going a lap down here. And just happily jumping out of the way for your lead drivers as they come on through. So great sportsmanship here from Dave as he gets a little bit out of shape on the Rahal Straight, moving across into the paved inside of the circuit. He's lucky that it's not full of sand in the Auto Vista rendering of this circuit here at Weathertech Raceway Laguna Seca. Shout out to Gianni Lutsu for the follow. And Aaron Gray saying we can hear the drivers through the stream. Yes, that's by design. I have my phone open on Discord so that I can turn them down without needing another pair of hands sitting right next to me here while I bring you all the action. Just to have a little bit of interaction from the drivers as I'm getting looks from Johnny Lee that tells me he has had a John moment. And Johnny, unfortunately, out of contention, parked up in the pit lane. That's a shame there for Johnny. Shout out to Aaron Gray. Why aren't you racing with us, mate? As we find another McLaren parked on the side there, just letting your lead cars go through. We'll check back in with your leaders. Joe Capone having a tidy old race, keeping himself out of trouble. He's got a few seconds lead over Nick Cochran at the moment. Still saying 3 seconds in touch with Clint Harvey. As nobody is able to challenge the pace of this man at the moment. Last time across the line, Julesy was a second quicker than Clint back there in second. Unbelievable there from Julesy. He is on fire tonight. Considering just as we were starting up the stream, Julesy's computer didn't even have connection and didn't want to play the game. Julesy doing everything he can to stay in control of this race from Clint Harvey back there in second. Now 5.8 seconds a gap. It yo-yos a little bit back and forth. But Julesy well and truly in control of this race here from Capone. Oh, sorry, from Harvey, then Capone. Over Nick Cochran in P4. Cameron Edwards now in P5. Closing this gap, 1.3 seconds. So Cochran will be able to see Edwards coming in his rear vision mirror as they go down the straights, and we'll spot him from a long way back. We'll see whether Cochran can really put on a fight with Cameron Edwards here. Shout out to Racecraft Simulations for putting on this series and giving us the opportunity to bring in people who wouldn't usually find themselves going sim racing to get them a taste of what this is all about and get them involved. This is what we want to bring people into. We want to get people in and having fun, enjoying themselves in racing simulators and racing with their mates. What better way to do it than at a ride and drive package than you can jump in on the rigs here at Racecraft Simulations and have some fun, or you can join in over at V-Race Simulations, or if you're fortunate enough to have a friend that has a racing simulator, you can even join in on their machine and get involved. And a shout out to everyone who joins in from home as well, jumping in and having fun here. This is a great series run on Tuesday nights at the moment from Racecraft Simulations. This is season 3 of the Racecraft Simulations League Nights, otherwise known as the SRT Trackmasters Academy. We take all abilities and comers of all ages from all backgrounds here. Anthony Jewell himself, a Hyundai XL Cup competitor, as is the likes of Clint Harvey from Saloon Cars, his son Mason making a big impact in the world of saloon car racing here in Western Australia, and even in KZ2 Pro Gearbox karting here in Western Australia. Joe Capone, a former front runner in Western Australia in the world of RC car racing. The Cochrans, always motorsports tragics and being involved in the sport. Cameron Edwards, a motorsport tragic himself from the days of karting, Hyundai XLs, running with V8 Race and track schools and stuff like that. Now running things over at V-Race Simulations. Young Jet, a young upstart driver, getting his feet wet in the world of sim racing, as is Lockie, always been involved in sim racing. People like Cade Bell, multi-time West Australian champions, a champion in his own right in WA karting, and moving through the ranks as well. I'm trying to remember everyone else's backgrounds here in Racecraft Simulations. But you don't have to be a race driving champion to be good at this. You don't have to be a phenomenal driver to get started. You don't have to have thousands of dollars either. You can just jump in and join in on the league nights. You can chat to Johnny about securing your seat in the league nights here at Racecraft Simulations and join in the SRT Trackmasters Academy series. We run 4 championships, running sequentially week after week. This week we run at the moment GT3s. Next week we go to Daytona Prototypes before we turn it back around for round 3 of the championship, the round 3 block, starting with the Aussie racing cars Camaros. And then the Formula 3s, it's the Dallara F309 in Automobilista 2 before we come back to GT3s, what we see here from Laguna Seca. As we follow along, Julesy continuing to open up that gap out front by 8 seconds over Clint Harvey in second. Trying to find ourselves a battle somewhere on track. The closest here is Dooley working his way through the field. Dooley in the Mercedes having a great drive here. Not bad for a man with one leg. He's doing a stellar job out here in the Mercedes. Through turn 6 and up the rail straight, just ahead of young Jet in P6. Nick Cochran has now fallen down into P7 and joining the ranks of Grant Johnson in the 8th spot. Connor Warren rounding out your 9 with Lachlan rounding out your top 10 here. Gavin, our arrive and drive driver here on RK6 machine, having a good run. He's in the 11th spot here from Andy Stott in P12. Barry Punter and Josh Cochran, 13-14. Dave Flett, George W. and Mr. Magoo rounding out your 17 drivers remaining. Unfortunately, we did lose John Lee, who is now laying on the ground, petting Stitch, the Racecraft Simulations mascot dog. It's good to have Stitch back in the house here and enjoying the company of all his mates joining us here for the SRT Trackmasters Academy GT3 Championship. I do see Kate Bell out of the scene as well. Shout out to Mason Harvey and Gianni Lutsu joining in the chat as well. G'day fellas. F1000 champ Gianni. You're still used to iRacing, mate. Automobilista would break your brain. Aaron Gray still at work. That's a shocker, mate. What do we want to do work for? Be good to have you back when you come back into town, and we can get you on and have some fun here at Racecraft Simulations. Since you spent up the big bucks and built your own rig now. It'd be good to have you joining from home and jumping in and having some fun with us as we follow along with Aaron Dooley at the moment. Aaron's all but sold his own rig. I think he might have actually sold his own rig. He had a mantle rig sitting at home, but he's given most of that away and just comes down and has some fun on a casual basis here at Racecraft Simulations. Follow along with Dooley at the moment. He's broken away a little bit of a gap over Jet here. We'll pan the camera across and we'll catch where Dooley is. There we go. That's the gap from Dooley back to Jet, 5th and 6th at the moment. That's the battle we have closest in your top 5, top 10 even. Nick Cochran back there in P7. He's 35 seconds off the race lead of Anthony Jewell out front from Grant Johnson. A few seconds further back down the road, you can see this. Cochran flashing across, and Johnson now 6 seconds off the back of Cochran. Lockie another 30 seconds further back in P9. Connor Warren in the golf-coloured Porsche, rounding out your top 10. We'll go back and pick up with Julesy here. 12 minutes and 35. We'll jump on board with it as he makes his way onto the main straightaway to start lap number 15 or lap 14 here at Weathertech Raceway Laguna Seca. With 9.5 minutes left to go here from Racecraft Simulations, Anthony Jewell making his way around the circuit, continuing to lead the way here. We'll jump back out from inside the McLaren. Don't need to listen to that thing revving through the gears all day long. Look at Clint Harvey though, back there in second. Can't do anything about him. Twelve and a half seconds, the gap from Julesy back to Harvey. Joe Capone and Cameron Edwards, third and fourth on the road. Great recovery from Cam though. Very much impressed with his efforts from the back of the grid to move his way forward here. He was thoroughly disappointed with getting caught on some traffic during qualifying, but doing a great job to find himself in the order and mixing it up inside the top 5, and he's dragged young Jet with him as well, which is good to see Jet have himself a good night of racing. Jet back there in P5 for the youngster joining in from V-Race. It's great to see the kids getting involved. Jet is just ahead of Nick Cochran, who's matching him on pace right now, so this will be a good battle down to the end of this one as they head out of turn 5 and climb the hill a little bit, bang through the gears before setting yourselves up for turn 6 and the run onto the Rahal straight. As Cochrane monstering up onto the back end of young Jet, trying to close up the gap here and put on a fight. Oh, and the computer says they're into each other, but that resets, and it has Jet holding down P5 ahead of young Cochrane behind him. Shout out in the chat to Gianni saying the game's broken his brain too many times already. This is great. Yeah, it's not an easy one, the old automobilista to iRacing transition. We've all been there. Aaron Gray, it would be good to have you next week as we got a bit of a battle still again here. This is Cochrane and Jet. They're getting so close together that it shows them running over each other as Cochrane fires up the inside at turn 3 and gets it done. Now Jet getting dropped down to P6. Cochrane moving up into the 5 spot. Mason and Gianni cheering on Clint here. I'm afraid to say Clint just doesn't have pace tonight. 121.3 last time by for Clint. Julesy is on another planet tonight here. Nothing motivates him than making fun of him a little bit. Julesy loves to get on with the job, as unfortunately it looks like we've lost Josh Cochrane. Is it true it's your birthday today, Josh? Last week. Well that just ruined it. It just ruined it for us. We were hoping we were going to sing you happy birthday and everything. Well, Josh Cochrane, not his birthday today, but he is unfortunately out of the race, and we only left with 16 remaining, as Clint Harvey still maintaining second. 14.1 seconds the gap. Aaron Gray asking what series is next Tuesday. It's Daytona Prototypes. Daytona Prototypes next week. The DPI cars, they're always a lot of fun. Lots of grip, lots of aero, big top speeds, and I'm sure Johnny will choose a really classical endurance style circuit or a proper Daytona style circuit for those cars. That'd be great fun to have them. They're really fun around Spa, actually. We've had them around Spa for a fun night during the COVID lockdowns earlier in the year, when they just got released as part of the AMS Racing USA pack. It's a really cool car to drive. It'd be good to have them out there in Spa. And Gianni saying get Mason in the seat. Mason's proven himself well and truly in the seat of these things. He was fast when we came out for our Enduro. That was the 6 hours. The 6 hours of Spa here at Racecraft Simulations. He was absolutely stonkingly quick. It'd be great to have him in the seat. Clint's going to go spend some money on another rig, or bring Mason down here, drop him off for the evening at the Racecraft Daycare, and let him cut sick in our SRT Trackmasters Academy League nights. With 5 minutes left to go here. Clint Harvey's pulled the gap down a little bit. Instead of 21.2 last time by, 20.9 for Julesy though. The gap sits at 14.2 as they roll around different parts of the track. Check in. We've got a battle here between Grant Johnson and Nick Cochrane, the two of the green cars. Now we're following on with Johnson, who's gotten in front. Cochrane in the second of the green cars. He's got his brother Josh watching behind, as Josh unfortunately out of the race. So Nick's found himself in trouble and is dropped back behind Jet, who he got past a little while ago, and now behind Johnson, who's up into P5. And Johnson would still be feeling tired and trying to recover from the weekend after spending all weekend spinning spanners on his son Elliot's go-kart, racing in Cadet 12s up at the Hurricane Go-Kart Club for the 2021 WA Kart Championship. It was a great weekend, one of the biggest ones we've had in a little while in West Australian karting. And despite the controversy in the format, I had a great time bringing all the action. I think I pretty well stand alone in my thoughts on the weekend, but that's how it rolls. As Johnson finds his way into P6. Now he's about 2.7 seconds off the back of young Jet in P5. Can he close the gap with 3.5 minutes left to go? We'll check on the times across the line here for Grant, as he was slow last time by. He pulled in 1.3 seconds on Jet on the previous lap alone. So Johnson's on a mission here, as it looks like Jet just fading a little bit to the back end of this 30-minute race. We'll see if Johnson can close the gap here, as Cochrane... Was Cochrane going? That was out of the pit lane. Where's Nick going? Still down in the 8th spot there in the Mercedes. Lockie in P9 from Connor Warren rounding out your 10 in one of the Porsches as well. Andy Stott in the 11th spot from Gavin in P12. Barry Punter in the 13th spot. George W in P14. And Dave Flett rounding out your 15. But it's Julesy. Julesy baby out front. 16 seconds clear from the rest of the field at the moment. Clint just cannot do anything about this young man's pace tonight. Despite Clint's own speed and still mostly a second quicker than most of the field behind him, Julesy is a second faster again. Huge pace from Julesy tonight as we pick up once again with Jet with 2 minutes and 15 left to go here. Johnson trying to chase him down. It was 2.5 seconds to gap. Oh, Jet just running himself too wide on the exit of the final corner. That's going to hurt him as he makes his way up the hill towards the Andretti hairpin. We'll see if Johnson can close that gap down some more. 1.3 seconds now the gap. This is the fight to go P5 here at Racecraft Simulations. And trying to close down that gap, Grant Johnson wants to park the McLaren on the number 5 spot tonight and deny young Jet a top 5 run. Can he get there in time though? With 1:35 now, the gap has blown out a little bit to 2 seconds as they come around. This live updating gap is fantastic to have. Shout out to the devs of Automobilista, slowly getting there with this game and improving it all the time. As we run down 1:15 to go, we're going to turn around and we're going to pick up. This is a battle for third, starting to get spicy. There's still 5 seconds between them, but Joe Capone, ever the quiet achiever, just circulating and doing his own thing at the moment. Rolling around in the 3rd spot and doing a nice job of it here. Capitalising on a solid qualifying result in that 5-minute one-shot qualifying they had. In the background, there is Cameron Edwards in the grey McLaren. Just, you can spot him in the background before we panned away. As Joe coming up behind Dave Flett, just calling him out in Discord chat as well, just to let him know, I'm coming up behind you, mate. I don't want to get mixed up. And Dave doing the right thing and jumping out of the way. Great sportsmanship here. This is what it's all about, just letting everyone have their own race and do their own thing. As we come down to 23 seconds to go, we're going to pick up with Julesy baby making his way into the Andretti hairpin for what should be the final lap of racing here. 15 seconds to go. This will be his final tour of the circuit. He has 17.5 seconds over Clint Harvey. We'll quickly check back in as Joe Capone still holds on to 3rd here. Clint Harvey, of course, in 2nd, just starting his final lap with a couple of seconds left to go. Cameron Edwards just behind in P4, trying to bring that gap down. It's 4.2 seconds from Capone to Edwards. Oh, Cam is way off the road, though. This could mix things up here, because Jet is trying to make his way through. He was only a few seconds, or he's actually 13 seconds behind. But man, oh man, Cameron found himself in big trouble there. And Jet is going to bring that gap down. Grant Johnson hasn't managed to close the gap to him. Ah, Johnson spins it. Johnson has binned it, trying to chase down Jet and giving it up on the exit of turn 10. And that is going to hurt here as we pick up Anthony Jewell on his way out and through the rainy curve for the final time here at Weathertech Raceway Laguna Seca. Time has expired and Julesy is going to cap off a dominant performance after nailing it in qualifying to a 1:19.7 to park himself on the top spot. He has led this out from lights to flag, and Julesy will win round 2 of GT3s here for the SRT Trackmasters Academy Championship from Racekraft Simulations. Clint Harvey threw everything down on the track, but just come up too short to match Julesy tonight. Harvey will bring it down to the line to pick up that 2nd spot. Harvey home in 2nd. Joe Capone, a consistent drive and a solid result here for Joe. Bringing it around the final corner, and he'll run the Porsche to the line to be the first of the Porsches across the line. Home in 3rd. Cameron Edwards just behind him. After a great drive from the rear of the field after failing to set a time, getting caught up in qualifying, Cameron will come home P4 ahead of young Jet, the protege from V-Race. picking up a top 5 result here as he brings it around the final few corners. He's going to hold out over Grant Johnson, who went for a spin on the final lap trying to close that gap. And Jet brings it down the line to wrap up your top 5. We're going to see if we can grab Julesy and have a chat. As we wrap things up here at Racekraft Simulations, we're going to chat real quick with Julesy. Mate, the internet and the servers didn't make things easy tonight, but a couple of resets and a full reset of your computer. A little bit of panic before qualifying, but you managed to throw down a lap, and that set the stage for the rest of the night.
Yeah, look, I don't really know what to say. Like, I just like Laguna Seca, and the McLaren GT3 really suits my driving style. I can really throw it quite aggressively, but it still, sticks to the track without, losing the rear or losing the front. So, yeah, did one lap sprint to get pole, and then just sort of set my own pace for the race. And yeah, 19 seconds clear of Clint. So pretty happy with that.
Solid result, mate. Another one in the bag. Looking forward to Daytona prototypes next week.
We'll see. I didn't do too well in them.
Stick to your guns. Stick to GT3s, mate.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Anyone you need to thank?
Liz, Mum. Is there food for me? That's all I want to know. Thanks.
All right, I'm sure Julesy will get the answer somewhere in the comment section. That's a wrap for tonight here from Racekraft Simulations. Thank you so much for joining us and being patient while we dealt with the internet. Anthony Jewell taking out round 2 of GT3s here at Racekraft for the SRT Trackmasters Academy in Season 3, 2021. Clint Harvey home in second. Joe Capone, a solid result, home in third. From Edwards and Boshkovic rounding out your top 5. That's a wrap here from Racekraft Simulations. Thank you so much for joining us. We are done for another week of racing. We'll see you back live from in-house at Racekraft Simulations in 2 weeks' time for round 3 of the Aussie Racing Cars Camaros on a track yet to be decided and will be announced on the day. Until then, have a safe evening and enjoy yourselves. We'll be back in 2 weeks from Racekraft Simulations.